Hey everybody, this is Cody Knight 22 here. Welcome to a brand new series of mine. This is going to be Cody Talks. So, brief little summary that I'm going to try and make go as quickly as possible. Cody Talks is basically just going to be the open space version of Cody Talks fan fiction. For those of you unfamiliar with Cody Talks fan fiction, that was a review based series in which I just spend time reviewing things. However, in this one, I will also have the free range to just simply have an episode about discussing something if I feel like it in my soul. Quick questions that I know that will probably come up if there are any of you that are not familiar with Cody Talks fan fiction. I am recording it in Minecraft because it is the easier and higher quality way for me to add in some form of visualization to this. I do not have a good option in terms of web. I don't have I should say good, but I don't have a great option in terms of webcams and podcasting doing it in that format. Please have no questions about that. Otherwise, let's get started with the first episode ever of Cody Talks. And that's going to be for Red vs. Blue Season 12. That's right. Today, the day that I'm recording this, most likely won't be the day that this comes out. This may come out a very long time from now. Episode 19, or the season finale, of Red vs. Blue Season 12 came out. As per usual. What is Red vs. Blue? Well, the summary for this season, I'm assuming that you've watched it at some point if you're watching this video, but the summary for this season... Red vs. Blue Season 12 is a machinima web series created by Rooster Teeth Productions and was released on April 28, 2014. The season continues where the previous left off, with Tucker, Griff, Simmons, and Caboose joining the New Republic in order to rescue their friends. So that summary was provided to us by the Red vs. Blue wiki. So Red vs. Blue it's been a long-standing web series. It's been really the long-standing web series, or the web series, I should say. It's been around for a very, very, very long time. And this was its 12th season. And so, as was stated here, I'll give a bit of a better summary than what this one was able to give me. As was stated, Red vs. Blue is taking place immediately after Season 11, in which, at the very end, the New Republic rescued some of the Reds and Blues from the Federal Army of Chorus, specifically Tucker, Griff, Simmons, and Caboose, as was listed previously. And the ones that were captured were Agent Washington, Sarge, Donut, and Lopez. So it becomes his mission where Tucker and company have to rescue their friends. They have to rescue the people using the help of the New Republic. And the New Republic really is not a cutting edge army. They're not. And so it's kind of left with limited options. So then they are able to do something with it. Another note, I will be spoiling some things, not the very end of the season, not the season finale, but I will be spoiling some things along the way. So I'd say that the safety zone for what episode you should have seen up to, I will put that at around 16. So 16 is the safety episode. If you have not seen episode 16 or anything up to that point, please don't watch this video because you're probably going to get spoiled. So first off, what was the overall impression from this particular season? Well, this season definitely taught us, all of us Red vs. Blue fans, if we hadn't learned before with what Miles has done, what Miles did on season 10, was in charge of season 11 as well. But this one absolutely taught all of us to not at all ever trust Miles, and most importantly, to fucking hate him. Because Miles epitomizes, really, he's the type of guy of the quickest way to make you hate a villain would be to present a puppy and then have the villain kill said puppy. Miles luckily he did not give us a puppy to kill, but Miles certainly did make the most out of really a figurative puppy. Because, man, episode number 8 was probably the point that we realized, oh shit, where you had, of course, nice throw, Tucker. And that was the moment that all of us were watching, and all of a sudden we just realized, oh shit, Felix is an asshole. And boy, did it get worse. And by worse, I mean better. I loved it. I loved every second of it. So first off, major hats off to Miles Luna for being the head writer of this and doing such a fantastic job. Second off, I would like to take a moment to appreciate that this was the second season after season 10 was very heavily animation. It was very heavy animation intensive. Season 11 kind of returned back to the machinima roots, where it was all done via machinima. But this season had a nice little mix of both. The animation was mostly there, not to necessarily look the absolute prettiest that it could, or not like it wasn't like to the point of where you had in seasons 9 and 10 where you had entire maps being made for those. This was more along the lines of it was there to help the plot line when it had to. Full hats off to the animation team, the machinimation team, the directing team, like whoever made the calls for when to do it, because that's absolutely what it did. The animation was there beautifully to complement, to do really nothing more than to complement the machinimation, the storyline, and it was used absolutely brilliantly, I personally believe. And of course, with anything that you expect out of Red versus Blue, the machinimation was on point as is usual, beautifully done. Everybody is going to want to point to a scene and one of the episodes that I said was the safety zone. So one of the later on ones, though, there is a scene in which the lighting of it was absolutely perfect, and I just, full hats off to them. Full hats off to the Red versus Blue team and what they were able to do with it. So going in from the general praise and from just, stating how well done this season was, this season really did take a moment a lot to focus on Tucker, which is very different than in past seasons Red versus Blue. Tucker has always been a character that's been there, but much like some of the other characters, he's really never been the focal point. Same deal with Caboose, really. Same deal with a lot of the Reds and Blues. You never really got too many focal points moments out of these Reds and Blues. And this one, you got a lot of them. They were the bigger deal than the freelancers, which is slightly unusual. And it was refreshing. I'll say that. I'll put that on it. It was really, really refreshing to have this done. And I've always been a Tucker fan, and I've always believed that he's probably one of the better fighters out of the Reds and Blues. But this one showed, which is not saying a whole lot apparently, but that this season showed that he's a little bit more than that, and that really there's a lot to be done with these characters still. What we saw out of the first 10 seasons of Red vs. Blue was by no means necessary the most that we're going to see out of them. It was a testament to how far these characters can grow, especially Tucker. I think that the one character that's kind of safe from that ever happening to them would be Caboose, I'd say. But you never know. And maybe Caboose will get a major story arc as well. But for right now, Caboose will be our lovable, kind of the dog of the Rooster Teeth fandom. Where's Doc? I'll just throw that in right now. Why not? Where's Doc? Although really, I doubt that we're gonna know now. Maybe anytime soon. All of this being said, there are some points that I would like to take a moment to focus on. Apart from just overall the characters being done, and this is going to be even more praise. This is really going to be a praise-heavy episode. The direction that Miles decided to go... The direction that Miles decided to go plot-wise was brilliant. Miles had, at the start of the season, he had kind of all of us on board with the very, very Star Wars-esque plot of... This is, okay, you have the New Republic, and they want to, and they are trying to get freedom from the Federal Army of Chorus, so they're going to do this, this, and this, and yada, yada, yada. So, but then, kind of comes the moment in episode 8 which was another oh shit moment, and where you had Griff, where you had the two parties come face to face. And they looked at each other and they were just like, what the fuck is going on? And then you realize, as Washington and company learned, that the New Republic, or that the Federal Army, of course, isn't really as well off as the New Republic seems to believe that they are. In fact, they're pretty much about as pitiful as the other is. And they're both sides are kind of using the Reds and Blues to get another way. And I think Washington at one point said neither side is guiltless, but we have to kind of work this out. And that was a great moment where it was kind of realized, okay, so this is not going to be a tired plot line at this point. This is going to be something a little bit more interesting. And then come later on in episode, and then come episode number 10, Cloak and Dagger, where you come to learn that Felix, that Locust, okay, no surprise, Locust is a bad guy. We kind of expected that the whole time. But Felix is too. And then comes the unveiling of the plots through one of Felix's favorite things to do, monologuing. And via the monologuing, it reveals back in Carolina and Church. Done very, very well. We kind of knew that they were coming back, but it was still done in a very well and tasteful manner. So the plot crafting this one was awesome. I mean, we've kind of had the same-ish plot line for 10 seasons. I mean, seasons 1 through 5 really kind of ran along the same thing. And then seasons 6 through 10 was also kind of their own shtick. But, you know, those episodes definitely... Those 2 seasons kind of ran along the same idea. And this is a new idea, a new take on, or a different take on kind of an idea that we have seen before in the form of Star Wars. Is one that there's a big one that was mentioned. They actually made fun of themselves, and Griff said, "This sounds exactly like Star Wars." I believe that was season 11. But this season of Red versus Blue, I think, gives a lot of hope for Red versus Blue fans for what future seasons contain. That's not to say that, you know, when we saw that it was being that Red versus Blue was being switched hands from Miles to Bernie, or from Bernie to Miles, or, you know, it was continuing on in a new pace, that all of us were terrified that it was abandoned ship, everything's going to shit now. It wasn't that at all. It was more along the lines of, you know, this is a new direction, we don't know what to expect. They're not going to be doing the freelancers anymore. The freelancers not the freelancers aren't done with. There's really 2 freelancers still alive in the form of Carolina and Washington. There may be more, but the only real remnants of it are the Reds and Blues and Carolina and Epsilon. So one of the potentials there that could have happened was to treat it like a remaining fragments thing and sort of holding on to the pieces and trying to piece everything back together. But it didn't do that. And I'm very, very appreciative that it did not do that, because I like this a lot better. Instead, I like the idea of just introducing a new group of people entirely, saying we have to tell their stories now. We've told one story in one segment of the universe. Now we're going to tell another one. Brilliant, brilliant move. Miles Luna and everybody on the Red vs. Blue team, but especially towards Miles Luna, who was a director, lead writer. My hats are off to you. If I had multiple hats, but I don't even have one hat on. But full kudos, full props. You did an absolutely fantastic job with this season of Red versus Blue. And really, typically in Cody Talks, there will be a critical portion of it, but I really can't think of anything, honestly. I think that, obviously, you know, the animation in some parts was a little bit more stiff. I think that they know that, and they're going to look at that. I don't really think that that's anything that needs to be said. Plus, it was only really meant to kind of be there to complement some things, and it did. It did its job, and that's what's important. It really did its job. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, welcome back the AI. That was a really smart move on keeping all the AI in via Epsilon, who is, of course, the memory. He was the memory fragment. So, really, really smart move. Thank you so much for keeping all of them in, though, because I do not know what I would have done without all of the AI, because those guys are fun. Those guys are a lot of fun. But normally there will be a critical segment of Cody Talks. But at this point in time, honestly, I cannot think of anything distinctly critical to say for this season of Red versus Blue. I think that really the only bit of advice moving forward, or the only thing that I can say moving forward, tell the other stories a little bit more. We got a lot of focus out of the Reds and Blues, and we got some moments for the mercenaries. But you have an entirely new group of characters. and their stories were not told all that much. They each had all of their moments, but the primary focus was definitely still on the Reds and Blues, not on the other stories that need to be told. I do think that this was intentional, but moving forward, I'd say don't do this, because now it's very, very clear. While it might be the Reds and Blues versus the Mercenaries, run by a group of people that I'm going to leave out, now it's the Reds, but now they have to realize it's the Reds, Blues, the people of Chorus versus these villains. And it's a definite now. It's definitely this now. It's nothing else, really. I mean, well, there might be other elements that Miles Luna, if he wants to fuck us over even more emotionally, he might decide to include them. But right now, we have our basic sort of a thing. We have this premise established. Tell the other stories. Definitely do take the time to tell the other stories now. And that's what just really needs, I personally think that's what needs to be done moving forward. But that's really all I have as far as something critical would go. That being said, I always will caution, and this is the final part of every single episode, I will say this before I actually give the review. I will rate it out of 10. I caution against a 10, so instead I will just give it lovely 9.5. I'll just say 9.5 because it was beautifully done this season. It's such a great show overall. If you have not yet seen it, binge watching the first 11 seasons before going into season 12, or binge watching the first 12 seasons now, I guess, since it's over, before season 13, in my opinion, absolutely worth it. You know, it starts off one way and it goes another way, but it's always been done in a really good manner. Season 12, I would say 9.5 out of 10, just because I kind of am skeptical about going up past that. But as things go on and my rating system gets a little bit more defined, we'll see exactly how it's done. But otherwise, keep up the excellent work to Rouge Your Teeth. And that's going to do it for this particular episode of Cody Talks. So tune in for the next time, as these episodes will not have a set release date. Tune in the next time, however, for a new episode of Cody Talks, when I will be covering an entirely new topic, whatever that may be. I actually know what it will be, but you don't. So tune in then for that review. Otherwise, until then, bye.